Louder.
I didn't start yet. I will be loud. I had my coffee, so I'm loud. Anyway, I am privileged to make a Siyum Hashas, but I'll tell you, for me, it's a bittersweet Siyum Hashas. I will make it as a Siyum for me and as a celebration of an incredible chavrusaship of Moshe and Bobby for nearly 30 years. We learned together for 30 years to be Messiahing the Shas. As you know, the Torah has two parts, the written Torah and the Torah She'Ba'al Peh. The B'al Peh was transmitted orally until after the destruction of the Second Temple. At that time, they had lost everything, and the Torah She'Ba'al Peh was in danger of being forgotten. So therefore, in 200 CE, Rebbe compiled the Mishnah. This Mishnah was discussed by Amoraim, and it was compiled into the Gemara in about 500 CE by Ravina and Ravashi. The Talmud, which is both the Mishnah and the Gemara, is essential to following the laws of the Torah. We cannot understand the written Torah without the Talmud. The Mishnah and the Gemara preserved our Torah at a time when the oral law was being forgotten. Now, the Mishnah has 6 starim: Zraim, Moed, Noshim, Nezikim, Kochim, and Taros. The Gemara follows in that order. And the Gemara is more than just halacha, it also tells many stories. There are 2 stories in the Gemara in Shabbos. One that deals with how the Jewish people willingly accepted the Torah, Nasev and Nishma, and the other, Tachtis Ahar, that the Jewish people were coerced to do it. God said to them, you do it, or this is where you're going to die. So many answers, many questions are given, and many answers are given. How is it the Torah can be given?
Good. This is good.
How is it that the Torah can be given both, that we can accept it both willingly and with severe coercion? So one of the answers is that Torah Shebichsav was accepted willingly, but the oral Torah, Torah She'Ba'al Peh, had to be done with coercion, because that is very hard. When we talk about Amelus B'Torah, working hard, sweating in the study of Torah, we are talking about the Torah She'Ba'al Peh. Moshe and I decided to learn the whole Gemara slowly and make sure we understood it. It was nowhere near a Daf Yomi pace. The Talmud Bavli has 2,711 pages. That's why if you do 1 page a day, it's 7 years plus. Now, I am going to discuss each of the starim and tell stories about how me and Moshe got through it. Just the highlights. The first Seder is Seder Zraim. It's not going to be 30 years. So Seder Zraim really deals with the agricultural laws. The Trumos, Masros, Shemitah. There's only one Masechta in Seder Zraim, and that is Brachos. Brachos, the first Gemara in all of it, was, you might say, how did that get into Zraim? Everybody knows the first Mishnah. It deals with Kriya Shema and Mariv. So Brachos deals with Kriya Shema, Tefillah, and Brachos. And it's because you're not allowed to use what grew up in the land without making a bracha, so they put Maseches Brachos in Zroim. And just to give you an idea of how long 30 years is, when we started with Brachos and we didn't understand a word, we had to use Jastro and the Sansino Talmud, because this was in the 80s. And in the 80s, Sansino, Moshe always joked that we had a third and fourth chavrusa. Our third chavrusa was Rabbi Art from Art Scroll, and he started in 91 and didn't get completed till 2004. Our fourth chavrusa was Rabbi Dr. Google, who started in 1998, and Baruch Hashem is still growing in learning. The second Seder is Seder Moed. The first Masechta in the Seder is Shabbos. Now, Seder Moed, Masechet Shabbos, starts with a discussion of Hotzah. And Hotzah is the 39th Malacha. The Gemara doesn't even start mentioning what are the 39 Malachos until the 7th parak. So it's a very illogical way of presenting material. Talk about the 39th Malacha 6 prakim before they tell you what the 39 Malachos are. Now, Moshe, who has a great breadth of knowledge and had a strong sense of organization, was able to keep this disparate ideas in his mind. He also had the opportunity, he and his cousin Simcha, to learn with his Zaidi, who was a Rav of, Hindi told me, Pshevisk, at like, I think it was in Poland. At about the age of 21, he was a really big gaon, and Moshe had smicha from Torah's MS. So by the age of 20, he was a real Rebbe, and he acted as my Rebbe. I can tell you, 30 years, he used to yell at me, "Bobby, sign up with your finger," whenever I lost a place in Rashi. And he was very neat. I am sort of the opposite. So if I forgot to put away the Svarim, and if he came and saw the learning table crowded with Svarim, he would yell at me. When I knew he would be coming, I would quickly get all the books out, hide them wherever I could so it would be clean and nice. But Moshe, who was very, very fast, and I am very, very slow. So sometimes he would rush through an Inyan, and I would say, "Moshe, that doesn't make any sense." So I would keep him honest, and together we were very thorough and complete. But he had a unique way of teaching. For instance, when we were learning the Gemara Psachim, it dawned on me that I really didn't understand chametz. I had no clue what yeast was. So I said, "Moshe, what is yeast and where do you get it?" So Moshe took me into the kitchen. Moshe, who was a great cook, showed me yeast, told me it was little beasties, which is fungi, and how it works, and then we sat together and we made challah. That is not very chavrusas have that experience in learning psachim. When we got to the Gemara of Rosh Hashanah, the Chumash only says Yom Truah. It doesn't tell you anything about shofar blowing. Maish, who is an expert at blowing shofar, explained to me the ins and outs of shofar blowing. He told me and showed me his shofar collection, which is very extensive. And everyone who ever was privileged to hear Maish blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah, including this last Rosh Hashanah, when he was so ill and so weak and had so much pain, for 2 days he blew those shofros perfectly. It is a tribute to his devotion and his dedication. Now, Seder Nashim, which is the next Seder, deals, as the name implies, with marriage and women issues such as sota. Moshe and I, who were living in modern times, had problems with certain inyanim in the Gemara. For instance, Dushe Tana. And the fact that in the Gemara Sota, the Gemara or the Mishnah says that somebody who teaches his daughter Torah, it's as if he was teaching her Tiflis. We always discussed these matters. We searched for answers. We paid close attention to the answer that the Chafetz Chaim gave to Sarah Schneer when she decided to found the Beis Yaakov movement. Following Seder Nashim comes Seder Nezikin. Seder Nezikin deals with torts. It has a great emphasis on private ownership. Moshe and I used to discuss what is a Torah. That's because I am a big fan of Mark Levin. I said, Moshe, what do you think? Does the Torah say that our society should be capitalistic or should it be socialistic? When you look at Nezikin, what great respect the Gemara has for private property, you would say it has to be capitalistic. However, when you think of the obligations of tzedakah, of the fact that our property doesn't always belong to us, shmita, payah, shikacha, obligatory tzedakah, you would think it's socialistic. We came to the conclusion that it's both. One time, we were having a lively discussion, which we frequently did, about Yehi Shalom Midas. It's a famous topic in Bava Metzia. We were learning in our house. We used to alternate between our house and Moshe and Hindy's house. There was a Hasidic man who came from Monroe, and he was installing blinds. He was up on the ladder in the den where we were learning. He looked down from his ladder, and he said to Susie told me about this while I was preparing the Siyum. He says, you know, I am so jealous of you. The fact that your husband and his chavrusa have such a lively learning episode, I offered my children $1,000 each if they would learn with the chavrusa. And so far I have been not successful. Then the penultimate Seder, penultimate, that was 7th grade, it means next to last, was Kiddush, is Kodshim. And Kodshim deals with Korbanos. Now, remember I said that Zra'im, which is not applicable, only has one Masechta. The last Masechta, Taros, which is also not applicable, also has only one Masechta. But Kodshim, even though the Gemara occurred after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed and there were no Korbanos, nevertheless, the Korbanos are described in detail. And the reason we thought why that is that the Gemara wants us to study Korbanos and says that if you study Korbanos, it is if you brought a Korban, and it affects Kapara. So we went into detail with Korbanos, and I will tell you, we both said it, that once we got to Sefer Vayikra, which we started yesterday, which I used to hate, I really loved it. I understood it. I went into every Rashi, and it really became totally familiar to us and wonderful to learn that way. The one non-Korbanos Masechta is Maseches Schulman, which deals with kashrus. Here, Moshe helped a great deal because all his work in the kitchen with kashrus meant he knew a lot. As a matter of fact, a Rebbe from Magen Av wrote to Hindi recently that Moshe was a Rosh Yeshiva and the Mashgiach of a yeshiva. And that the yeshiva that he was a Rosh Yeshiva and Mashgiach was in his kitchen. It was between the walk-in refrigerators and the oven. And there, under Moshe's guidance, boys, many of them, found their way to Derech HaTorah and Yiddishkeit while learning in Moshe's yeshiva in the kitchen of Magen Av. One of the last Masechtas in Seder Kodshim is Tamid. Now there's a well-known medrash regarding Maseches, regarding the Tamid, and that medrash has a machlokas of 3 Tanoim. Ben Zoma said, what is the most essential, most inclusive pasuk in the Torah? And Ben Zoma's opinion was Shema Yisroel, which deals with Ein Adam L'Mocha. Ben Nanas said it's V'yohavta l'reyacho kamocha, which was the epitome of Bein Adam L'Chaveiro. Shimon ben Pazi, however, said, no, you're both wrong. And a Tana came up and said, we paskin like Shimon ben Pazi. And Shimon ben Pazi said, The pasuk is Es hakeves echad taseh baboker ve'es hakeves hasheni taseh bein harbayim. It is consistency. And Moshe was consistent. He kept us moving through good times and bad. During those 30 years, I had 3 aortic valve replacements. Besides Moshe coming to the hospital, when I wasn't feeling well and got home, he came to me. We didn't split it. And he just pushed, and we kept learning. Now, the final Seder is Taros. Now, which is laws of purity and impurity. These laws of Taros are discussed throughout the 6 Darim, but it's concentrated in Seder Taros. There is only one. There's only one Masechta in Seder Taros, and that is Maseches Nida. This was a Masechta we were on when Moshe died. When he died, we were on Daf Lamed Ches 38. We had 45 blot to go. I didn't feel I could make it the last 45 blot. I didn't have Moshe to do it. And it was also very hard. I was totally broken. How was I going to do 45 blot of a very difficult Masechta alone in less than a month? But I had read a book called The Time to Heal, which is a Lubavitcher Rebbe's book on dealing with loss and tragedy. And he said that when you have loss, you don't apologize to God. We don't understand what God did. And the thing to do to keep you going is to copy the ideals and incorporate it more to you. So you may remember that I had told you earlier that the Gemara, the Talmud that we're making a Messiah was 2,771 blot. Moshe did it all but 45 blot. And if you know anything about math, that means we learned together 99.98% of Shas. It was very hard, but I did it. I learned the 45 blot. I got up at 5:30 in the morning. I learned it late at night, and it made me feel close to Moshe, and it helped me with my own sorrow. And I am now ready to be Messiah the entire Talmud by the last part of Nida. Now the end of Nida starts, the end deals with the halachos of Zav and Zava, which are very difficult. And it talks about how we derive these halachos, and it talks about whether we derive it from Sukkim, from the Mishnayos, from Raisos, or from Halacha L'Moshe Misina. And after that discussion, it ends with something that is very well known to all of us because it's part of the davening. And the end is Tana Debei Eliyahu, the Eliyahu's yeshiva learned. Kol hashoneh halachos b'chol yom muvtoch lo shehu ben olam haba. Everybody learns halachos every day. It's assured that he is going to the world to come. Shenema, and then it quotes a pasuk in Chavakuk, Halichos olam lomo, al tikrei halachos. It means the way to olam haba is with halachos. Don't say halichos, the way, but say halachos. And that is how Maseches Nida ends. So I'm going to say the Hadron, and I'm going to ask Naftali to say the Kaddish. Hadron Aloch Maseches Nida of his Talmud Bavli. Hadra Chalon. Datan Aloch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. V'data Chalon. Lodnis Neshimi Noch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. Lo Sishneshi Non. Lo V'yalmo Haden Lo V'almo Do'asi. Hadran Aloch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. V'hadra Chalon. Datan Aloch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. V'data Chalon. Lo Neshimi Noch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. Lo Sishneshi Non. Lo V'yalmo Haden Lo V'almo Do'asi. Hadran Aloch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. Hadra Chalon. Datan Aloch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. V'data Chalon. Lo Nishimi Noch Maseches Nida of Talmud Bavli. V'lo Nishimi Non. Lo V'almo Haden V'lo V'almo Do'asi. Yira Tzomel V'nechad Ma'Eloheinu V'Yavasenu. Shetahei Saroscha V'Masenu B'Olam Hazeh. Usehei Imanu L'Olam Haba. Chanina Bar Papa. Rami Bar Papa. Nachman Bar Papa. Achoi Bar Papa. Abba Mori Bar Papa, Rafram Bar Papa, Rachish Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Dara Bar Papa. Harab no Adnoy Eloheinu Eloheinu Taroscha Befinu Fios Amcha Beis Yisrael V'Niyeh Anachnu V'Tzetzaeinu V'Tzetzei Tzetzaeinu V'Tzetzei Amcha Beis Yisrael Kolonu Yodei Shemech V'Lam Dei Sorasech L'Shmo Me'er Vaytech Hakmeni Mitzvah Sech V'Kidolam Gili B'Samim B'Chukecha L'man Lo Evosh Li'olam v'lo eshkach pikudecha kivam chi yisanim baruch adonai lamdeni kukecha amen 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 selo v'ed modim anachnu lefonecha no Eloheinu le'avasenu shesamto chelkeinu miyoshvei beis hamedrash v'lo samto chelkeinu miyoshvei kronos she'onu mashkinim v'heim mashkinim onu mashkinim l'divrei Sarah v'heim mashkinim l'dvarim b'teilim Onu amelim v'heim amelim, onu amelim mekablim schar, v'heim amelim v'eino mekablim schar. Onu rotzim v'heim rotzim, onu rotzim l'chaye olam haba, v'heim rotzim l'ver shochas. Shenema, v'ato Elohim tori dein l'ver shochas, anshe domim u'mirmo, lo yetzu yimehem v'nichtach foch. Yehiru tzamil v'nechad no Eloheinu, t'shem shazartanu l'thayim v'sechas nida v'talmud bavli, came to Azreinu Lahaschim Mesechtos Sfarim Acherim L'Saimon Lulmod L'Lamed Lishmod L'Asos L'Kayim Es Kol Devrei Samot HaRoscha B'Yavo Uzchutz Kol HaTanoim B'Moroim V'Samidei Chachamim Yamod Li L'Zari Shelo Tamu Shatorah Mipi U'Mipi Zari V'Zera Zari Adonam V'Titzkayim Bi B'Zalecha Tancha Osoch B'Shoch B'Cha Tishmo Alecha V'Akitzosa Isus Ikpecha Kivi Yerbo Yimecha V'Yosifu L'Chosh Nos Chayim Orech Yamim B'Mino B'Smola Oshe B'Chovod Adonai Oz Li'amo Yitain Adonai Yivod Tesam